Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to our main presenter, Andrew Duncan from DataBuzz, and he's going to talk to us about QuickBooks Online integration using FM Accounting Link. So go ahead and take it away, Andrew.
Cool. Okay, so got a little presentation. Then I'm going to jump into some demos, and then I'll have hopefully lots of time for questions as we go. So yeah, thanks for having me. I think it's my second time at Claris Beyond. Yeah, obviously my name's Andrew Duncan. I'm the owner at DataBuzz. We're a Claris partner down here in Sydney, Australia, where it's quite early in the morning, I dare say, and I'm yet to have a coffee, so it's going to be a long meeting for me. That's a photo of me, actually, at the very last FileMaker DevCon, which was back in 2019. And yeah, can't believe it's going to be like, I think, 4 or 5 years before the next Claris Engage in February next year. In fact, there was a slide there about conferences. I want to just have a quick chat about conferences as well. We recently had our first in-person event in APAC in Sydney back in July. We called it Reconnect, and it was awesome. Where everyone was so excited to finally be back together. It was our first one since 2019 as well, so it was about 4 years. Everyone had a great time. We had great presentations. We organised it ourselves. Claris didn't previously. They'd organised it, but this time they were a sponsor, and then a group of us got together and organised it. And we're so buzzed. We're going to do it again next year in Brisbane, Australia. So if anyone wants a tax-deductible holiday to Australia, September next year, is keep that in your diaries and go to the reconnect.fm website for more details. There's also the Engage U coming up, which is its second year running. I'm actually going to be doing a couple of presentations there as well, so I'm really looking forward to getting out of Australia and going to a bigger gathering in Antwerp, Belgium in November. So if you're going to that, please come and say hi. It'd be great to catch up in person. And as was mentioned earlier, the Claris Engage 2024 happening in Austin, Texas. So lots of chances for us, and all the other ones as well that were on that list. So yeah, lots of opportunities for us to get together and catch up with old friends and make new ones as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to be making the Austin, Texas one. Just got to sort out a few things, but hope to make it there as well. So a quick bit about me. I'm the owner at DataBuzz. I've been developing in FileMaker for over 30 years now, so feeling quite old. FileMaker certified developer. I've been collecting on my badges, like many of you will have as well. We're also, as well as being Claris partners, we're Xero developer partners, we're DocuSign developer partners, and Shopify partners, and a few other partners as well. And I've personally had a long-standing interest in integration and connecting FileMaker to other platforms, and that's led to the development of a number of off-the-shelf solutions for integrating FileMaker with some other platforms. And many of these have grown out of solutions that we developed internally for our business first. Here's a sort of a grid of our solutions that we sell at the moment. We've got our accounting link ones across the top. So for platforms like Xero, MYOB, that's only in MYOB in the Australia, New Zealand region, and QuickBooks Online, which I'm obviously here to talk about today. And we've also got a couple of solutions for the e-commerce platforms, Shopify, WooCommerce, DocuSign in the e-signature space, and 2 solutions for SMS and MMS messaging. So we're here to talk about, or I'm here, sorry, to talk about integrating FileMaker with QuickBooks Online. And that's going to focus, and I'm going to be demonstrating our FM Accounting Link QuickBooks Online solution. So it looks like some of you have already done some integrations. A lot of your customers use QuickBooks. If you're in North America, that obviously makes sense. They're a big company and the established player over there. So QuickBooks is, or Intuit, as the parent company is called, is over 40 years old, or is in its 40th year. So it's been around quite a long time. That's their sort of mission statement. They help small businesses manage their books. And FileMaker has a lot of shared customers because FileMaker helps small businesses manage their business. It's a huge company, 100 million customers worldwide. They've been on a bit of an acquisition spree lately. They bought MailChimp and they have a number of other products in their accounting platform, not just including QuickBooks, the desktop version, plus QuickBooks Online. And they've got millions of customers, so almost 6 million QuickBooks Online subscribers, according to the last financial year results. And they're doing big volumes of data. So they managed over $2 trillion of invoices in the last financial year. So lots of customers, lots of transactions, lots of data. So begs the question, why integrate FileMaker and QuickBooks Online? So if you're using FileMaker to manage your business, so to track your customers, generate invoices, maybe create purchase orders, you're generally going to be using an accounting package because you've got to sort out your tax and your lodgements with your various business authorities around the world. So integration's usually about eliminating manual steps and automating workflows. No one likes to be typing the same invoice more than once. I've got customers who've gone from entering tens or hundreds of invoices in FileMaker a month and then manually entering the same invoices in their accounting package at the same time. And that obviously leads to data entry errors between FileMaker and your accounting package. So I've seen customers spend hours trying to sort out an issue where things don't reconcile and things are out of balance, and it's all because they typed a 2 instead of a 3 because they weren't paying close enough attention, or they're seeing stars because that was their 23rd invoice for that hour. So it's all about the benefits to your business, obviously saving your business time and money. And obviously we want to have people doing less of this and being able to sort of free it up to be doing more meaningful work. So just a bit about our FM Accounting Link solution before we get into the demos. It's a FileMaker solution that shows you how to upload and download data between FileMaker and QuickBooks Online. It's got lots of examples. It's in many ways, it's a solution that shows you how to do all these things using our files. So how to authenticate, how to exchange customer data, vendors, invoices, estimates, bills, purchase orders, expenses, credit memos, and lots more. So lots of examples for how to do things. We've got 2 versions. We've released a version for working with a single QuickBooks Online company, and probably next week we're going to release a new product that is designed to work with multiple QuickBooks Online companies, which some customers have. We have 3 different licenses: a company license, a vertical license, and a developer license. You can get a fully functioning trial version for a couple of weeks from our website. And like all our other solutions, they're completely unlocked, so you can integrate it in whichever way you see fit. And we'll talk a bit more about integration methods shortly. So over the years, we've seen us and our developer customers take a number of approaches to integration using our solutions. So there's the linking method, where you essentially create an external data source from your file to our file, and you create simple scripts to push and pull data between your file and our file, and use our file to handle the uploading and the downloading between FileMaker and QuickBooks Online. And that's a really quick way to get up and running. You can be up and running in a couple of hours normally. The other option is what we call embedding, where you don't end up using our file, but you recreate the functionality that you need from our file. So our file shows you how to do it. You can pull out the bits you need. So you might just need authentication and uploading customers and invoices, for example. You can recreate that functionally. You can copy and paste most of the code. These days, about the only thing is you can't copy and paste table occurrences and relationships. Pretty much everything else you can copy and paste and then remap the fields. And we've got integration guides on our support website. So I'm going to be talking a bit about webhooks today as well, particularly focused on Claris Connect. So webhooks, for those that don't know what they are, it's an event notification system, a bit like a FileMaker script trigger. When an event happens, that triggers the running of a script for a webhook. That's when an event happens in QuickBooks, they trigger a notification that gets sent to, say, your FileMaker server or to Claris Connect. which then goes and does something. And a common example is a payment's entered in QuickBooks Online, and you want to know about that payment. You want to get that in your FileMaker solution. You want to get that entered and allocated to a particular invoice. Well, webhooks can do that for you. We supply a PHP file for those that want to host their own, and uses the data API to handle that. And we also support Claris Connect, which has a few options. It's got a native webhooks app, and it's also got a native QuickBooks app. And Kate mentioned earlier, there was a Claris Connect Summer 2023 release last week. And as well as introducing custom connectors, they also updated their QuickBooks app to work with both the Sandbox developer environment and the live production environment. Previously, their app only worked with the production environments, had a few limitations there. Don't forget, Claris Connect now has a free tier, which gives you 500 flow steps a month. So it's a much more attractive option now, particularly for those that have low volumes and just want to sort of dip their toe into it. You will need to set up your own Intuit developer app so that you get your webhooks only to your system. And we have webhook guides and our support site as well, once again. So just a few more notes on the Claris Connect webhooks that have been updated last week. So now when you go and set up a webhook in Claris Connect and search for QuickBooks, you'll get two matches. One's the deprecated version, the old version of the app, and now they've got the new QuickBooks one. And as I mentioned earlier, it now lets you choose whether you're going to connect to a Sandbox test account or a live production account, and you just choose it from the drop-down menu, and you connect your app, and you'll start getting notifications. And I'll show you how we set up our Claris Connect webhook shortly. Okay, so I was going to jump into some demos. I might just pause if anyone has any questions at this point. I'm happy to answer them. There's our contact details for Twitter, Facebook, and our website if you want to get in touch after this, or follow us as well. So any questions before I get into demos? No? Okay, let's go. So here's our FM Accounting Link QuickBooks Online solution. I'm also logged into my QuickBooks Sandbox. So QuickBooks give developers a free test Sandbox environment. You can create a number of free companies and do as much testing as you like. There's no fees. They don't expire. So I've got 4 companies in my Sandbox at the moment for various regions, so I can test against various different region-specific characteristics. I've logged into my US Sandbox, and I've also I'm going to authenticate to that same account. So I'm going to go to my company screen. Let me just clear out these values. So I've already authenticated and downloaded some data just to save a bit of time, but I'm going to go and grab my QuickBooks credentials, and I'll just show you how to authenticate. So essentially you normally would create an app on the Intuit website. I've created one, FM Accounting Link. If you're using our solution, you don't need to create an app. You just use our app essentially and authenticate that to your QuickBooks account. The only time you do need to create your own app is if you're going to be using webhooks, because you want to be getting your webhooks and not send them to us essentially. So to connect the FM Accounting Link file to QuickBooks Online, you just click the Authenticate button and a little web viewer pops up. QuickBooks use OAuth for this. Many of you have obviously got OAuth experience, and we just log in. So I'm just going to log in with my Sandbox account. It'll verify that. I might get a 2-factor requirement as well. And it knows that I've got more than one company, so I've just got to choose which company I'm connecting to. So in this case, I'm doing the USA. And we go next. And I've already connected, so I don't get that final prompt to approve the connection. And then I just hit the continue button, and that processes the code exchange, and I get a token, and that token is good for 60 minutes, an hour. And I also get a refresh token, which is good for 100 days. And the idea is every when that access token expires, my FileMaker scripts will check and they'll go and refresh that, and I'll get another 100 days on my refresh token. So the token's just self-managed from this point on. I shouldn't need to authenticate again, and they'll just keep refreshing as I go. So normally the first thing you do is you come and download some data. So I'm going to go and quickly import my chart of accounts from QuickBooks into FileMaker. And there's my chart of accounts. So we might need those when we're creating invoices in particular regions where you can specify the chart of account for each line item. Obviously, you want to get your taxes. I've already downloaded these to save a bit of time, and I've downloaded all the other things like terms, classes, departments, currencies, and so on, and payment methods. And I've also pulled down my my preferences, which is mainly around my sales terms and my custom fields if I'm using those. I've also, let's go and download our list of products so we can use these when we're creating invoices or purchase orders or bills. So they've come down. So that's how quick it is to sort of download data. I've also already downloaded my existing customers and vendors. And let's go and look at customers now. So you'll know you've got a contact that exists in QuickBooks when we have our QuickBooks ID. It's just a number. In this case, it's number 1. And with that, having stored that in FileMaker, I can create a link between this record and the QuickBooks Online record. For example, I can go and click the Open Customer in QuickBooks button, and that's going to take me to that very same contact in QuickBooks Online. So let's go and create a new customer for this demo. So we'll call this and just use the display name. So QuickBooks use that display name to uniquely identify a record, or not identify, but to have a unique display name. I'll just make this taxable, and we'll set some sales terms, and that's probably enough to get going. So let's go and click the push to QuickBooks button, and so that's already uploaded to QuickBooks. It's got a QuickBooks ID of 68. So if I go and click open in QuickBooks, it'll take me straight to that customer. So straight from FileMaker straight to onto zero, so QuickBooks Online. And I could go and add some more detail. So I might go and put in an address. Okay, so I've updated my FileMaker record. Now I want to get that update into QuickBooks Online. So I just push to QuickBooks again, and this time it's going to do an update. It's not going to create a new record because it's got a QuickBooks ID. So let's just go and reload that record in QuickBooks Online, and you can see now it's got my billing address. So we can go the other way as well. We can make changes in. I forgot to make this active. Sorry, I'll just go make this active and upload it again. I can't edit it unless it's active. And okay, so now it's active. So now I can click the edit button. So then, as I say, there might be changes, circumstances where something's changed in QuickBooks Online. A bookkeeper and accountant might make a change. So I'm just going to enter a phone number, and we'll save that. And just to demonstrate the sort of the bidirectionality, I can click the Update Customer from QuickBooks button, and that's pulled down the latest record from QuickBooks, and everything's the same except it's pulled down my phone number that I'd entered in QuickBooks Online. So you can, generally it's best to sort of have a single source of truth, and ideally that's FileMaker. You can do all your edits in FileMaker and just push them to QuickBooks Online. But if something's changed in QuickBooks Online, to save your copying and pasting it, you can pull down the record back into FileMaker. So that's uploading a customer. The vendor works in exactly the same way, so I won't need to demonstrate that. So let's go create an invoice. So I'll click the new invoice button, and I'll just add a couple of line items. So I've got an invoice date, I've got a due date. It's obviously linked it to my customer. I can obviously override the sales terms for this invoice. And I can choose, if I've got departments and classes set up, I can specify those as well. And I'm going to click on this product service drop-down list. And this is where I get my list of products that I've already downloaded from QuickBooks Online, so it knows what they are, what their descriptions are, what account codes they're attached to, and what rates I might have set up as the default. So I'm going to go and change these and just put in change the rates. And we'll do 6 of those, and I'll make them both taxable. So just on tax, we're not working out the tax in FileMaker, where QuickBooks Online has got a great automatic sales tax calculation system. So we're just going to let QuickBooks Online do it for us. And that happens at the time I upload the invoice. So I'm just going to click push to QuickBooks, and that's going to go and upload the invoice to QuickBooks. And you'll see it's come back with a tax amount of $80.75. So if we just quickly go and open that invoice in QuickBooks Online, you can see there $850, $80.75 for a total of $930.75, which is exactly what we have over here in FileMaker. So that's just an easy way to let QuickBooks, it's an accounting system. It's got a way of updating sales taxes and keeping them all up to date. So I don't need to worry about that in FileMaker necessarily. I can obviously edit this invoice at this point and push it back to QuickBooks Online. Some other things I can do, I can email the invoice through QuickBooks Online, which is the same as clicking the send button that you can in QuickBooks as well. Same as with a customer, if changes were made to the invoice in QuickBooks Online, I can suck that down by clicking the update invoice from QuickBooks button as well. I can also pull down the QuickBooks PDF into a FileMaker container field. So I've just downloaded that. I'll just save it to my desktop. And if I go and look at my desktop, there's the invoice. So that's a quick way to get the QuickBooks Online invoice into FileMaker if you wanted to, and send that out from your computer, which is you might want to send it using your email system instead of through QuickBooks Online. Now, so once you have a invoice, you might want to enter a payment in FileMaker. So let's just go to the Payments tab, and we'll click the Add Payment button, and we'll choose which bank account to pay it into. So this is a list of all those bank accounts from my chart of accounts that I've previously downloaded. This is a list of my payment methods that I've already downloaded. I'll put in a reference number and an amount. So I'll just put in a part payment, and we'll upload that to QuickBooks Online. So now if I go and refresh this invoice in QuickBooks Online, you can see it's got a payment made of $40. So it knows that it's the payment's been entered. And if you're using WebBooks, we can also get those payments entered directly in QuickBooks Online and pushed to FileMaker as well. We can also enter notes and attachments. And if you add an attachment, you can specify whether to attach it to an email, to the email that gets sent from QuickBooks Online as well. And those notes and attachments, they're available across all the other examples that we have, such as bills, customers, vendors, purchase orders, and so on. So I just want to, I could go through lots of other examples, but they're all very similar. We have estimates, which are quotes called quotes in some regions. So it's a way of creating a quote and sending that to a customer, very similar to an invoice. Vendors is the supplier version of customers, obviously. And from here, you can create bills and purchase orders and record expenses. And products, if you wanted to make changes to products, for example, you often might want to change the price of something. So if I go and find my concrete record that I added to my invoice earlier, I don't have a price, so I might go and put in a basic price and push that up to QuickBooks. And that has been uploaded successfully. All my uploads have worked. So if there was an error with the upload, you'll get an error straight away, so you know that it wasn't uploaded correctly. So for example, if I go and just create a new customer, and we'll call this Smith Brothers, And if I just upload that, I'm going to get an error, and it's saying that you need a display name attribute because QuickBooks Online automatically calculate the display name for you in the online version, but we haven't sent up a display name. So I'll put in a display name. I'll upload that, and I'll get a different error this time, and it's saying that I haven't made this taxable. So I need to specify a tax exemption reason. And if I make it taxable and upload it, it'll upload successfully this time. So that's an example of how you'll get errors and how you can sort of handle them. And we record the response for each request or the last request in this little last API result field, so you can interrogate that, and that normally has the full details of any particular error. So I just want to talk a bit about webhooks now. So I'll just jump over to Claris Connect. So I've already set up one for my sandbox. I just wanted to show you what this looks like. I call it, so when you set up if we just go and create, I'll just quickly show you what the options you have when working with the QuickBooks app in terms of what the event triggers are. So if I search for QuickBooks, so these are the event triggers that the Claris Connect QuickBooks app supports. So there's sort of 8 or 10 of them or so. So the common ones that I typically use would be payment created is the common use case that I come across. And if we go over, so jump over to QuickBooks Online, if I look at my app under webhooks, this is where you sort of enter one manually. And if we click on Show Webhooks, you can see QuickBooks Online have a huge array of these are all the triggers. So pretty much all the modules have an available trigger for create, update, which are the common events that you want to capture. So obviously Claris Connect supports a subset of those, and these are the ones that would typically make sense to a FileMaker customer doing an integration with QuickBooks Online. So I'll just go back to my flow. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so I created one for the payment created. So the idea is every time a payment's entered in QuickBooks Online, I want to have that pushed automatically to my FM Accounting Link solution, and have that assigned to the particular invoice that it relates to. So it's got a number of actions. So obviously the payment created one, which you set up just by connecting QuickBooks to Claris Connect to your QuickBooks account, so you authenticate, and then you go and manually process payment, and it'll get the trigger data for that. And then when I get that webhook with the payment details from QuickBooks Online, I want to create a record. So I have a webhooks table. I'll just quickly show you that. So the way I set up in our solution is I have a webhooks table, and the idea is a new record gets created every time a webhook is sent, and it just stores the payload in the payload field. And I then go and run a script to pull apart that payload. So I get the body of the webhook into my payload field, and then I use the get record by ID. So I go and tell Claris Connect to go and find the record using the record ID from the create record step. And then I run a script on that record, which is my Process QuickBooks Online script. And if I just have a quick look at that, it's basically just has a bit of error capture involved, but yeah, it basically goes through the events and pulls them out one by one, and then it's an array. Generally, you only get one, and if I've got examples for customers' invoices and payments, so if it's a customer event and it was the create, I go and create a customer. If it was the update, I go and update the customer. If it was an invoice, I create or update it. And if it was a payment, I create or update the payment, and that involves sort of linking it to the invoice. So the payment just appears automatically in the FM Accounting Link solution, and I don't have to enter that payment. It just gets pushed. So that's a good example, I find, and it doesn't involve, I'm not going to encounter any record locking issues, which is something that can happen if you're trying to edit an invoice that a FileMaker user might be editing as well. It just creates a payment record and it gets linked to the invoice record automatically by the QuickBooks Online invoice ID. So I think that's the end of my demos. I can obviously show lots of other examples if people got a particular sort of module they want to see, but I'll just stop there and jump back on the Zoom and see if you've got any questions.